everyone, it's Kristen Darcy, and I am so excited to be beginning this amazing new series, Love and Infertility 2, Tell All Tuesday. And I'm so grateful to Kimberly Richards, who is the author of Passing the Pregnancy Test. And she's here to talk to us about her journey and also about what she's learned to pass that pregnancy test. So thank you so much, Kimberly, for being here.
Kim is fine, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. So I know we were introduced through a mutual friend, and we both live here in Massachusetts, which is very exciting to have a fellow fertility champion right around the corner. So I was wondering if you could start by just sharing with us what made you write your book and a little bit about your journey first.
Absolutely. I was newly married and very excited to start a family. I was 34 years old when I got married, and I figured, you know what, we'll start having kids right away because, 35 was approaching. Right. And I soon found out that even though that was my plan, that wasn't going to be the plan for me. So long time and nothing happened. I went to see my GYN, and she gave me Clomid, which I think a lot of people start with on their infertility journey when they go see their physician. That didn't do much. And then I started investigating IVF clinics, and I selected one in the greater Boston area and was very happy with the doctors and the nurses, but just didn't work for me. And so after several cycles, I decided, you know what, we'll just be childless, married people having a great life and being the best aunt and uncles that we can to all of our nieces and nephews. And I just kind of pushed it aside and said, you know what, if it happens, great. If not, that's fine. But the days of intervention are over for us. It was taxing, as everybody who's experienced it knows. It's something that you can't put away. It's always on your mind.
Right.
And I just said, you know what, I'm done. That's it. Inject ourselves with anything else, literally or figuratively, and that's it. So we just put it aside. And a couple years went by. We were still trying, but nothing really happened. And we weren't that focused on it. We really tried not to talk about it at dinner, at family gatherings. We just put it aside. And then
so when you say you put it aside, was that because you came together and created your plan that you were going to move forward with just being a family of two?
Exactly. We just two and our cute little dog.
Okay.
So I have to mention her. So we just figured, you know what, it was just not in the cards, and that's it. We're both, my husband and I, glass half full people, and we weren't going to let it get us down as much as we possibly could. And just have fun. And, if it'll happen, great. But you know what? We're not going to count days. We're not going to go to doctors anymore. We're just not going to do those things. And some time had passed, and I came across eating a plant-based diet. And I realized after reading about it that people had cured themselves from everything from eczema to cancer to migraines, all sorts of conditions. And I had a little light bulb moment and said, you know what, if I eat this way, maybe I'll cure my infertility. You know what, I'll just give it a shot. And by that time I was 37.
Okay.
And my husband was 48. And I just said, you know what the heck? I love to cook, and these are all new recipes. I'll give it a whirl. And I did. And in less than 3 months, I became pregnant.
That's amazing. So I am so interested in, when we're talking about lifestyle changes, right? And when we talk about lifestyle changes, we talk about exercising and eating and cigarettes and alcohol. And for me, it wasn't until I was way into my journey that a physician said to me something like subfertility. This term subfertility, like, you never know what it is. And it's like, if you turn this and tweak that and do this, then, you create balance, right?
Right.
So isn't it amazing that
it's amazing.
And you had that intuitive pull to this?
Yes. And it wasn't that I was eating like chips every day and hot dogs. I wasn't eating any of that. But what I wasn't eating was I wasn't eating enough nutritious food,
Right.
enough of fresh fruits, vegetables, beans, things like that. So once I discovered that this was a great way to eat and my husband was on board, and without counting any day, when I did this, I didn't track my days, I didn't track my cycle, just happened. And after it happened and we had our beautiful son and he was about 6 months old, my husband said to me, you know, you have to write a book and share your story and help other women and families. And I said to him, okay, I work full time. I have an infant. I have a 60-minute commute each way. Excuse me, what was that? And he looked at me and he said, you have to do it. Whatever it takes, you have to do it. And since I always do everything my husband tells me to do, I got right on.
Well, you know what? I want to back up a minute. So
sure.
Talk a little bit. First of all, that is an amazing story. And
thank you.
And isn't that little precious son of yours, like how you described your story, right?
Yes.
Was that,
yes.
For me, what I picked up was that even though it wasn't in forefront in your mind,
mm-hmm.
but it was still an intention that you put out there prior to this, right?
Absolutely.
And so that and for me, because I look at things from the spiritual point of view and also from the emotional point of view, is for me, like, you put this out into the universe that you wanted to have a child, right? And
yes.
in that gulp phase that I call it, that you put that order out, the intuition, your intention out, and then this information came to you, right?
Yes.
And you took action on the information that came to you. And
yes.
your action that you took, although it's not the medical complex way, but you
mm-hmm.
took action. And I think that's so important that we need to talk about. Like, you had the feeling, you had the sense, you
yes.
had the divine intervention. That's,
yes.
I don't know if you saw it like that, but then you took action, and then you manifested your intention.
Exactly. And I have learned so much through this process. One thing that I learned, which I think is so critical when you're dealing with infertility, is that I didn't realize how control it felt to feed myself what I thought I needed to become pregnant. And it is an amazing feeling to be in control. And I know that about those things, and you do too all the time, that these are my choices. I'm making this happen. Oh yeah, my husband had a part in it. Absolutely couldn't have gotten pregnant on my own. But you know what? It was me, my doing. It was my choices. It was my time that I spent learning to cook a different way.
Right.
The other thing that's happened that is an amazing byproduct and so fabulous to see is that I intuitively knew what to feed my son as he grew up.
Isn't that awesome?
So we hear so much on how to take care of children and what to feed them today. And you know what? I just knew. I knew exactly what to feed him because of everything I had learned. And now I have a child who asked for a salad bar at his birthday party.
That is so awesome. Do you know what?
Cool.
My daughter wore her braces for 3 years. Now my son is 18 and my daughter's 13, turning 14 any minute. And she had her braces on for 3 years. And when we were leaving, the woman said, well, what are you going to eat that you couldn't get to eat? And I was, waiting for her to say, like, gum or chewy candy or whatever. She goes, I am dying to bite into a peach.
Isn't that wonderful?
And
how proud are you?
I looked at her and I'm like, that is so amazing. She goes, no, I miss being able just to, I eat my peach, but my mother cuts it, but I miss biting into a yummy peach. And everybody, they're looking at me like, what happened there? But
exactly.
Isn't that amazing? Because that is so powerful because of how our food is created now. There's not the nutritional quality within the food that I love that what you're talking about, because even I think eating organic and eating local and fresh and healthy and more vegetables and fruit than, meats. But there is a change in the agriculture of how we get our food, and a change in our bodies about how we assimilate that food. And so it's a science for you to put it all in a book that said, hey, this is what I did, and interview all these experts is just, all one-stop shopping,
Well, I hope so. Really wanted to be able to give people my story. I'm not an expert. I don't know everything about infertility and how to get, what to do. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist, but this is what happened to me. It has happened to other people because I've met other women since I've written the book that have had a similar success. And to have the resources of the interviews of other people, I think really puts it all together. And you know what? It's just not that complicated eating this way. It's not that hard. You can go to any restaurant today. I can walk in anywhere and eat. It's not a problem. Chefs are very accommodating. There's so many options. I never feel like I'm limited.
Well, could you share with back then, what was your typical day of eating? Because this is why I'm concerned, because I know for me, I would have a little poo party because I would compare myself to everybody else and say, you know what? They're going to go out, have a glass of wine and get pregnant. I have to give up caffeine. I have to watch what I eat. You know what I mean? So it was like I was a victim of this. And what you said was so amazing because you're powered by your choices. So change is a challenge for me, and I'm sure some of the people listening to this. So way back when, how was it one change that you did, or did you completely wipe out everything and change all at once?
Well, I'm going to answer that question in two parts. First, since then, I have studied with Wellness Forum Health and received the diet and lifestyle intervention certificate from them and have done an intense training. So what I would tell you after I was trained, I would tell you what I had done. Okay. So what I had done was a raw food diet. So I didn't eat anything that was cooked. Okay. So my breakfast was a smoothie. My lunch was a cold soup, maybe some dips, guacamole. I had snacks. I would eat dates. I would eat noodles made from zucchini squash with tomato sauce on it or some type of pesto. I was definitely full. But after doing all of the study, and that's pretty for a lot of people, and what I've learned is that it's probably not necessary. The big changes are getting rid of dairy, minimizing animal foods. I didn't eat any at all. It's really tough. If you can minimize it to a couple of times a week, great idea. Getting rid of coffee, like you mentioned, it's not necessary, but if you're drinking 8 lattes a day, you're in trouble.
Right.
But 1 cup of coffee in the morning, you're okay. Focusing on whole foods that are plant-based. Today, I would say smoothie, oatmeal, toast, and hummus for breakfast, some combination of that. Any type of wrap on a whole wheat, made out of whole wheat or sprouted wheat or rice, brown rice, if you like gluten-free, with hummus and vegetables. There's all sorts of things you can make that are so easy. And for dinner, you can make almost anything that's non-dairy and doesn't have animal foods in it, from lasagna to a stir fry, even burgers and fries. We eat burgers and fries all the time in my house. The fries are baked, the burgers are plant-based, and you know what? It's delicious.
Right. So do you incorporate nuts?
A little bit, not too many. They are high in fat, and one of the great things that you'll find when you give up some stuff in a standard American diet is that the weight falls off, which is great. You know what? Maybe a little bit of a occasion on a piece of toast or with a banana as a snack. But for me, it's not something that I crave or I want. But if that's what somebody else does, that's fine too. Try to focus on salads and fun foods. even pizza is something that you can have. Whole wheat crust, gluten-free crust, tomato sauce, veggies. I mean, there isn't one thing that you can't eat. That now, just making a few modifications. One of my new favorite things is jackfruit, and they sell it with all sorts of sauces on it.
Yeah,
have you heard of that?
Yes, I have.
And they make them prepared already with the sauce on it, and it's delicious. It's great on everything.
Oh, that's so awesome. So I wanted to ask you a question. Did you feel like your body was, this feels to me like, for whatever was happening with you at the time, that this was a cleanse? That when you cleared your system of whatever toxin, if you call it that, it just feels to me when you're talking, I'm like, this was like a huge motivated cleanse.
Yes, I felt differently by day 2. I slept better. My skin looked great. I just had tons of energy. I could definitely feel a difference. So yes, it was wonderful. I could feel that right away. I wasn't so much focused. I really didn't have much time to think about getting pregnant because I was so focused on making new foods and learning about it. And that was in my mind, but I had to spend some time, figuring it out.
Right, right. So when we do our Tell All Tuesdays, we always ask the question, like, what you know now that you wished you knew then. And I think you, in a way, answered it because you did such extensive training now, right? After
yes.
Passion. But if you were to talk to that 38-year-old self and be able to whisper in her ear, what would you say to her?
I wish I would have reached out and found somebody like you, because that was one thing that I was missing, somebody who had done this before and gone through this before. And it would have been nice to have a great sounding board.
Okay.
Would be one thing. Having a girlfriend is great. And I have a couple fabulous girlfriends in my life, but to actually talk to somebody who same road I've been would have been very helpful, because there's so many, no matter how positive of a person you are, there's so many bumps in the road that you really need a sounding board for. And then secondly, I worked on my diet for the first time around when I first couldn't get pregnant. I wish somebody would have said to me, hey, you know what? Clean up your act, see what happens.
I love that, because what I think about it is that us, we're so harsh with ourselves, right? That you're like, oh God, could it have been that easy but for me, it's just awareness, right? Yeah. And I think that to focus, like you said, glass half full, the divine angels brought you the information that you needed exactly at the right time. So
I really like how you put that.
I completely understand that sense that if you're not doing something, then you're not moving forward to create your family. And so when you talked about, I didn't talk about it and I didn't think about it, and it feels to me like you kind of like compartmentalize that, right? And you said, okay,
absolutely,
not that, and I'm going to focus over here, right? And I think us women maybe have a more challenging time because guys are so great at that. They're really great at just putting it in a box and saying, okay, if we're going to talk about that, we're going to, get that box out and talk about it. But I want to just say again how amazingly cool you are that you took action, that you made these changes that have set you on a trajectory within your lifestyle and how you parent. And then you wrote a book, for God's sake. And as a fellow author, that's another thing. If you haven't done that, you don't really know. It really is, it mimics giving, you birthed this book just as much as you birthed your son. So
I did.
Kudos.
Well, thank you so much. You really, you know what? I just wanted to make a difference for somebody else, because as you know how difficult it can be. And if we can just make it easy for other people and to let them know they're not alone, they'll make a big difference.
Right. And so if maybe someone's listening to this and thinking, I wonder if my eating is contributing to maybe blocking a little bit of my fertility, or how we could say it in a way that's not judgmental. You know, what was it in your mind that you said, oh, I just want to try this? Was it that there was a shift between your energy of creating your family to learning something new and how to cook, or did you feel like, oh, I could do this? Or were you having a physical symptom that made you do this other than the fertility?
I just felt like I could do this, and that, you know what, if people are healing themselves from other conditions, I mean, that's what unexplained infertility was to me, a condition. And I figured, you know what, I'll give this a whirl. And it was the best thing, obviously, I ever did.
I love that. That's awesome. That's our tweet of the day. Because I believe that you can heal yourself. You know, you can. So powered, and it's just listening to the divine instructions on how to do that. So thank you so much. And then once again, the book is Passing the Pregnancy Test. And this is our brand new launching series of Love and Infertility 2, Tell All Tuesdays. And all the information is underneath the video to get a hold of Kim. And, you know, this video, or Tell All Tuesday, will be up on YouTube to listen to it again. So is there any way that you'd like to, if people want to speak with you or reach out, is there a way that's the best and you can say it in the video?
Yes, absolutely. You can always reach me through my website, passingthepregnancytest.com. And I want to thank you so much for doing this for all those women and families who need help, because this is the type of help they really need.
Oh, you're such a little angel. Thank you. It was such a pleasure. Have a great day, everyone.
You too.
Stay tuned for the Tell All Tuesdays, and thank you so much. Passing the Pregnancy Test. Here's the book again. Bye, everyone.